Matt Gibson is living a quiet life hidden away in the remote hills of North Carolina. But an innocent text message from a local Walmart is about to change all of that. The text is simple enough. Your prescription is ready for Anita Townshed. But Matt Gibson doesn't know anyone named Anita Townshed, unless she's part of a secret he's been hiding for 17 years.
Mr. Gibson said that he started doing searches for an Anita Townshed. And he stated that he had found on the internet that an Anita Townshed had been murdered.
The text was followed by a letter, a plain white envelope with no return address, stuffed with a Walmart ad and a post-it note with Matt's name on it. Gibson panics. Somebody knows his dark secret.
He thought someone that was out to put a hit on him was in the parking lot. He was that paranoid.
So paranoid, Gibson jumps in his car and drives across country non-stop back towards Bullhead City, Arizona, and the darkest day in his life.
Mr. Gibson was en route to Bullhead to confess to the murder that he committed in 1997.
Yes, murder. Gibson drives day and night. By the time he reaches Arizona, Gibson is in such a panic, he pulls off in Winslow, Arizona, 3.5 hours from Bullhead City.
When he came in, there was just something different about him. He was paranoid, he was upset.
So upset, this is an audio recording of him confessing at the front counter before ever even being interrogated.
Hello? I committed a murder.
Committed a murder?
Many years ago. It happened in Bullhead City. I didn't even know who until somebody had been sending me text messages.
As a detective, when we're doing an investigation, usually we know the ins and outs of the crime. We know what happened, we know what occurred. In this case, we didn't even know if a crime had actually occurred. So in my mind, I'm looking at a couple of scenarios. Did this guy just invent this situation? Did he see something on TV? Is it drug-fueled? Does he have psychological problems? Or is he actually a cold-blooded killer that killed a woman in Bullhead?
As Gibson fidgets in the next room, Detective Marquez quickly dials Bullhead City PD to see whether they have any unsolved murders from 1997.
She had given me enough details that immediately got my attention.
Lieutenant Duke arrived at the Winslow Police Department about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Hello, Matthew. I'm Lieutenant Duke from Bullhead City Police Department. This is Detective Allman. The first things that he wanted to talk about was more about the strange happenings that had started occurring all the way back in North Carolina. Receiving strange text messages on his phone and strange hang-up phone calls, just depicting that he was, getting paranoid.
Just finally said it's time to put an end to it.
Gibson thought those text messages from Walmart about Anita Townshed amounted to a prescription for his own death.
He put two and two together, and he figured that Anita Townshed was the woman that he had killed in Bullhead City back in 1997.
Then comes the big shocker.
It was not. It was actually a Barbara Brown.
I wanted her to leave. Her name I did not know. So I was going to knock her out and put her ass outside. Okay. But instead, obviously, I killed her.
Matt Gibson had just confessed to killing a woman he never knew.
It was apparent when I began to interview that Matt Gibson did not really know the name of Barbara Brown. He wasn't sure who he had killed. So how many times did you hit her, as you can recall?
I only hit her once, I know. And she did start bleeding. And I panicked.
Mr. Gibson indicated that he'd hit her one time with a mag light. I don't feel that he was telling the complete truth, because obviously when I looked at the autopsy report, it indicated she had been hit numerous times, and the cause of her death was traumatic blunt force trauma to the head, and actually her skull had been crushed in.
Lincoln 81.
Lincoln 81, we'll be clear from Community Park. We're en route to Rotary Park now.
Gibson even took police back to the scene of the crime.
This is the area that Matthew Gibson brought us to, where he said that he had dumped the body. And this is pretty much the exact location where we found the body of Barbara Brown. And so the case was solved at that point.
The Bullhead City Police Department ID'd the victim within days of her murder, but they had no idea who Matthew Gibson was.
Matthew Gibson was never on the radar in this case, and looking through the older case files, his name is not mentioned. No contact is made with him. You will not find him listed anywhere in that case investigation.
And they admit they would never have found him if it wasn't for that mysterious woman named Anita Townshed.
We don't know if an Anita Townshed ever existed. We looked, we weren't able to find anyone by that name.
Matt Gibson was a little bit different because, of course, he'd driven all the way across the country simply to get this off of his chest.
If those text messages hadn't come in, we would have never gotten a conviction, or he would have never confessed to the murder.
Once again, as I said, it's not a case of shrewd investigative skills. It's not the triumph of forensic science. This is a case of the power of the human conscience.
He said it's time to put an end to it.
Now, Gibson accepted a plea agreement for manslaughter and is currently serving 10 years in the Arizona Department of Corrections.